barbecue. It does a lot of things. You form relationships. You get to know people. It's just a lot of fun. Brings people together. The barbecue for Lynch Livestock, we've used it a lot. We use it for company functions. Producers that we work with have company outings. We barbecue for them. We do a lot of charities for children. Children's Home, Gary at Lynch is involved in. Do a lot of Wounded Warrior programs now. Do a lot of cooking and barbecuing for the vets. Just a lot of things like that. Iowa State, we do a lot of barbecuing for the football team, the basketball team. Over the years, met a lot of neat people. From Vikings football players, we barbecue for them every year, 2-3 events a year. Kansas City Chiefs, done the St. Louis Rams, just numerous people, met a lot of neat people. You meet a lot of great people and make a lot of great friends. Barbecue contests. We've done them in Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota, Illinois, Memphis in May, Kansas City Royal. Just name a few. And like I say, you just meet a lot of great people. So we're going to talk just a little bit about barbecue. Everybody has different ideas about barbecue, how they barbecue, what they use, what they do. And we're just going to touch on kind of what we do, some of the things that we use, what we like for meat, how we do smoke, what we do, and you get some ideas. When we get through today, we'll have some questions and give away some prizes. So, Mike, we want to start here. Cookers, that's the first thing. If you got a cooker, what do you use for a cooker? You'd be surprised over 17 years. The cookers that I've seen people use, from taking an LP tank and going to a machine shop and cutting it in two and making a cooker, to old gas barrels on farms. People haul them to town, go to the local machine shop, make me a smoker, make me a cooker. One barbecue contest I used to attend all the time. The guy took a dairy milk tank, a bulk tank, and put a grate in the bottom and made a smoker out of it and went to contest, and he was a winner. So a lot of different things, from oil barrels to 5-gallon pails. I mean, there's all kinds. A lot of different cookers you see there. The new cookers are a lot of rotisserie cookers used. Okie Joe, a Jedmaster rotisserie. We have 3 of those. We use the big rotisserie cookers to smoke with. We also have some 2- and 3-door barrel cookers that that are really neat, that work good, and just a lot of different cookers. Myself, I like to smoke meat, and I use a 3-door. I also have a pellet smoker, and I can use different types of wood pellets on that. They work great. The reason they work great now is they have digital controls. You can set the controls on a pellet smoker and set it for 225 degrees. If you have it loaded with pellets, everything is set. That'll stay at 225 degrees for 12 hours or until you run out of pellets. I mean, they have it down that pat. They have temperature probes on them. You just hit a button. It tells you what the temperature of the meat is. And they're kind of a neat smoker. A lot of different pellets you can buy. Let's go to the woods and talk about the different types of wood that we use for smoking. A lot of people use different woods. You hear people using all kinds. Elder, people use elder. It's good for seafood. Apple, cherry, peach. I like to smoke with those. It gives the meat kind of a sweet taste to it, and it's just a good wood to blend with pecan. Pecan's kind of a mild wood, and you get a nice smoke flavor. You can mix that fruit wood, that pecan. It works great. Go south, into Texas, Oklahoma, a lot of people like mesquite wood. They use that down there. The people in Texas will go and tell you about how great the barbecue, but it's better in Missouri and Iowa. So, some people use maple, oak, guava. We were talking about guava today. Anybody ever used guava wood? The only place you can get it is in Hawaii. And it's kind of a mild, sweet wood, but that's the only place you get it. Hickory, I hear a lot of people talk about hickory. They use that. In using woods to smoke with, I feel that you have to be very careful on how much smoke you put with meat when you're smoking and cooking, so that you don't get too much of a wood taste. I've experienced sometimes, one time I run out of pecan wood, and a guy had some hickory, and I just filled the cooker, the 3-door cooker, up with hickory wood, started it back up, smoked the meat. And it was real bitter, kind of dried the meat out, and I really didn't care for that. And so I kind of go towards the pecan. It's mild, the fruit woods, the apple, the peach, the cherry. It just gives the meat a real good taste to it. So them are the type of woods. Also, when I'm using wood, I like to use some type of food grade charcoal. There's so many different types of charcoal you can buy and use. You can use some that has a fuel additive to it, where you put a match to it and it burns right away. But I've felt where it gives off something. You get that fuel taste to that meat. Has anybody ever experienced that? You went to a cookout or barbecued, and you get that taste to it. And I don't care for that, but I use a food grade with no additives to it. Put a little of that in the bottom of your cooker, and then put your wood on and get it started, and get it going. Get your cooker up to temperature. And so that works real good on that. And like I said, my favorite is the apple, cherry, the peach, and the pecan wood. Next thing we're going to talk about is the pork. What do we like to use? Baby back ribs. I think they're just great. St. Louis style ribs. I was talking to a guy today out here, and I said, St. Louis style ribs, what do you look for? He goes, St. Louis style ribs can either be real thin and there's not a lot of meat on them, and you go to smoke them and they dry out so fast. You're going to pick some St. Louis style ribs, get some with a real thick cut with a lot of meat on them, and they're a great rib to smoke also. Pork shoulders are just, they're great to smoke. It takes a long time to smoke them, but 10, 12 hours, and you smoke them slow and a lot of seasoning, and they're just great to use. Big thing now on the circuit, and we see in contests, we talk to people, and we do a lot of it, is pork bellies. Anybody in here smoke pork bellies or have had any? Yeah, if you do them right, a long time, render them down, smoke them, they're really great. The meat is just fantastic in them. And so we do a lot of pork bellies now. The pork butts are kind of like a pork shoulder. They just got a lot of flavor to them. You get a lot of marbling and fat on the meat, and you trim it, and you smoke them, and just a lot of taste. The pork we had here today had a lot of juice to it, and I thought it was pretty darn good pork that they had out here today for lunch. I've been to a lot of events where they cook pork loin. They cook it a long time. It gets dry. Another one is pork loin. We cook a lot of pork loin. There's so many ways to cook pork loin, and it's just an awesome sandwich or for dinner. Another one that we use, you can see on the end, is a French crown rack or a rack of pork. They do them both ways. They bend them around and tie them, and you could smoke them and cook them, or just the crown rack sets out. It's a 10-bone crown rack, and you smoke those, and you cut them between, and they just make an awesome pork chop. You get a little smoke on those, and a great job. Sausage, a lot of people smoke rope sausage. You can see that, or chub sausage. You season it and smoke it, and it's great. One of the guys here today, we smoked some at a Iowa State football game, and he took it home and put it in his freezer, and he took it out. he said it was just awesome when he thought it out, and he had it again. So those are the types of pork that we smoke, we serve a lot of. If you would say, what do people like the best that you cook? I would have to rank it baby back ribs and then the crown rack of pork. They're just, it's great. So next step, you talk about getting meat ready and you want to smoke or you want to barbecue, and there's a lot of things to that. And the first thing you got to remember is food safety when you handle any type of meat. If it be pork, beef, chicken, whatever it is, food safety. Rinse your meat off. Wear plastic gloves. Wash your hands. Have a serving table or table set up that's been washed and cleaned, and work with it that way so that no one gets sick. Ribs, on prepping ribs to smoke, you always want to pull the membrane off of the back of the ribs, and that pulls off fairly easy. I like to take that and take a paper towel and grab a hold of it, and that paper towel, you can just pull them off. It works real good. Shoulders and butts, you might want to trim just a little bit of the fat off, but I leave some on for smoking. Why? You smoke them 12 hours, and you want to keep that juice maybe coming into the meat there, and it gives a little better taste. So the shoulders, we inject them a lot with a solution to keep them moist, maybe taste. What do you use for an injection? I like to take vinegar, take some salt, some seasoning, maybe a little brown sugar, and inject it into those butts or those shoulders, or take brown sugar and apple juice. Apple juice works great for everything, from babies to barbecue. And you can inject it with that. Also on the loins, you can dry rub those. You can inject them. And on the butts and shoulders, also going back there, one other thing. I've seen a lot of people get the butts and shoulders ready to smoke, rub them down, season them, and they'll cover them with yellow mustard and smoke them in. And they're quite good. I've used it in contests before, and it turns out better than what you think. I mean, it really gives it a good taste, and the mustard will kind of crust up on it, and some of it will run off, and it's a good taste. There's a lot of different things you can use when you're smoking, when you're prepping your meat, getting ready, kind of the type of seasoning you like to use. Do you like coarse ground pepper? Do you like a lot of spice to it, whatever it is? A lot of different companies out there sell a lot of good seasonings. We have our own seasonings that we use and won a lot of awards with them, so they work real well. The French Crown racks, I like to rub them down with a cooking oil or an olive oil. Rub them down real good. And on the Crown racks, I like to use a coarse salt, pepper mixture. Lynch has got what they call a steak and chop. It's a little more coarse. And it really hangs onto the Crown rack well, and it's got a good taste to it. On the sausage, the chubs, the patties, whatever you use, you can use some seasoning on that, kind of a sweet rib rub or a sweet spicy rub with just maybe a little pepper to it. It always good on sausage, and just keep turning the sausage as you smoke it. The best thing that I found in smoking, and what I like to use, is apple juice as a moisturizer for meat. Have a spray bottle. Spray that meat when it's smoking. Apple juice, it works for so many things. You can use it to make barbecue sauce with brown sugar. You can spray it on it, the meat, so it stays tender and it don't dry out when it's smoking. You can mix it with all different types of things, and it just works real good for smoking. So that's kind of some tips that we use when we're doing the meat. On the pork shoulder and the butts, again on that, sometimes I like to score the top of the shoulders and the butts and put a little seasoning in there. Maybe use a little cooking oil or olive oil on those also, and it'll give it a nice brown coat on it. So kind of go from there. Next thing, you get ready and you got that meat ready, and you got your cooker and you get your wood and your barbecue, your charcoal in, and you start that cooker up, and you bring your cooker to the temps you're going to cook with before you load your meat. Your meat is cold. It's come out of a refrigerator or a cooler. Get your cooker to temp where it needs to be so that it starts warming the meat and cooking right away. USDA, one thing you got to always remember, they recommend that pork is cooked to 145 degrees, and when it's done cooking, rest it for 3 minutes. You talk to a lot of good barbecue people. A lot of people cook to different temperatures and serve it and go from there. On the ribs, I like to cook ribs kind of low, slow heat, 225 to 230 degrees. Spray them often with apple juice. Another thing I like to use is I melt a stick or two of butter, put some brown sugar with it, some apple juice or pineapple juice, and just baste the ribs as you're smoking them for 4 to 5 hours, and they're great. On the ribs, when you do that, they're just great. Pork shoulders, pork butts. I like to smoke a pork shoulder, pork butt at 275 degrees. A lot of people do them at 200, 225, so they get a lot of smoke flavor. I think you can get a lot of smoke flavor cooking them 275 degrees for 7-8 hours. A lot of people like to smoke them 12 hours. On the pork shoulders and the butts, the cooking temp there, you can always 6-7 hours into your cooking, you can wrap that meat in tin foil, slide it back on that cooker, and you can cut your smoking time down an hour or two on them pork shoulders and them butts if you want to do it that way. So on loins, a lot of people do loins different way. 225, 230, I like to smoke a pork loin, and 3 to 4 hours, you temp it a lot. As the USDA says, 145 degrees. If I'm smoking it at home or we're having a party, we'll smoke it to 130, 135, get it in what we call a hot box and re-season it and let it set and rest, and it'll cook another 10 degrees once you get that off there, and it's just awesome. So kind of do that. The French Crown racks, I do a lot of those for big parties. I like to cook those at 275 degrees. It's hot. It sears it over. It puts a crust on it. You get them done in 3 hours, and you finish them off in a hot box and go from there. Sausage chubs, 225, kind of slow. You get that smoke ring in that sausage, in those chubs, and in that sausage, and they're just really good. And that depends on the thickness of the sausage, if it's a round chub or if it's ring or patties, whatever it is. So going back, I just made the mention I like to put something in a hot box. What's a hot box? Hot box is something that we use when we're basically close to being done smoking and cooking. You can use a cooler, as it showed here. Take that cooler, open it up, make sure it's clean inside. Wrap it with tin foil around the inside. Put tin foil on the bottom. You're cooking a bunch of loins. You can lay those loins in there. Get them all laid in there. Re-season the tops of them. Put some tin foil down over them. Maybe put a towel over it. Shut it down. Leave it for 2 hours. They'll still come out as hot when you take them out as when you put them in. You can't even pick them up and handle them. I don't know if anybody's done that before, but yeah, it works great, don't it?
It's wonderful.
Yeah, and the meat, the meat rests, and it's just so great when it comes out of a hot box or a warmer like that. You can also get these type of hot boxes. They make them. They're a commercial type. They work great. You can put the meat in pans and slide it in. But I like to use a cooler myself. You set all that meat in there. You get all through. and all that juice is there, and you cut that meat up and you pour that juice on that meat, and it's great. So a lot of different ways you can use that. So another thing we talk about when you're cooking, you got that meat in a hot box, and you got it where you kind of want it. People like to baste. A lot of people like to baste when they're cooking. You'd be surprised that people come out and say, hey, I'm doing ribs today, and I start putting barbecue sauce on them as soon as I put them in the smoker or the cooker. I've tried that before, and it's like, wow. All you got is it's a burnt crust. I mean, the barbecue sauce, the brown sugar, whatever you use, it crusts up, and the meat just gets that crust. It gets that burnt taste to it, and you put it on too soon. Based and glazing. I like to use apple juice mixed with brown sugar, as I said before. Honey's a great thing to baste with. Mix it with something if you want. Honey, I like to use honey on the crown racks. Smoke those crown racks. You get them crown racks to 130, 35 degrees. Lay them all in that hot box. Re-season with a steak and chop. Pour honey over the top. Put your tinfoil down and leave them for 2 hours. Be the best pork chops you ever ate. Fruit preserves. A lot of people use fruit preserves. We've got a restaurant up in Iowa that serves just awesome pork loin, and they use a peach preserve and mix some pineapple juice with it and kind of cut it down a little, and they have it warm, and they pour it over the top of the pork loin, and it's just awesome. Some people like blueberries or raspberries. I mean, it's whatever you kind of like or the people like. Barbecue sauce, there's so many different kinds on the market. There's smoky, there's hot, there's spicy, there's just whatever you want. Lynch, we make our own barbecue sauce. We make a hot, spicy, and we make a mild. I like to use a mild barbecue sauce. When you're cooking for a lot of people, there's a lot of people that like barbecue sauce, but they don't like it spicy. So I'll take a good barbecue sauce, some brown sugar, apple juice, a little steak maker, a little sweet rib rub, put that all together and warm that barbecue sauce. Bring it just where it makes the barbecue sauce makes a boil. Shut it down. It's warmed up good. It mixes good. If you're having a backyard party with a bunch of guys, dump in about a quarter of a cup of rum. It's really good. It is really good. I use that a lot when we're doing some parties like that. People like that. So them are the different types you can use. The last 10, 15 minutes in a smoker, you can baste ribs. Then that works. I like to do that. Last 10, 15 minutes, they come out and they kind of get that sticky glaze on them, and they're just awesome then. So you can do that. You can add more. Once you serve your meat, you cut it. You get it out on a table, and you're cutting your pork loin. You cut your crown racks, your sausage, whatever you do. Always re-season your meat. Put your sauce over it, whatever you're doing before you serve it. But always re-season your meat when you're done and you get ready to serve the people. So serving your barbecue on ribs, we like to serve them, cut them, serve them one bone. And a lot of people like sauce on them. A lot of people like the ribs served and the barbecue sauce served on the side where they can pour it on or not use it at all. I kind of like to baste them with a little, like I said, 10, 15 minutes before I take them out of the cooker. They get that sweet, sticky taste to them. They're great. Pork shoulders, pork butts, you can shred that. On the shoulder and the butt, they'll have a bone in there. And if you've smoked that 12 hours and you've done a lot of smoking, that bone will be white. The meat will shrink away from that bone. And with a big pair of gloves on, you can take that bone, and if you've done it right, you can just pull that bone out. There won't be no meat on it. And you can shred that with some forks or shredding forks and re-season it. It's just great. I like to do it that way. Another thing that we like to do on the pork, if you've cooked it 10, 12 hours and it's got that crust on the outside is them burnt ends. You cut that off and put it in pieces. And everybody likes the outside of that pork shoulder or the pork butt when you cook it, and it's got just a little crunch to it, or it's got all, and it has all that seasoning on it, and it's just great. So on pork loins, you can cut it thin for sandwiches, 1/4 inch thick, whatever you want. Re-season. You can paint some sauce on it for sandwiches, whatever you want. If you're serving it as a dinner in a 3/4 to an inch thick pork chop, you slice them, pour some juice back on them, or put some glaze on them. Re-season those pork loins so it's got some seasoning on when you serve it. French crown rack. You cut those between the bone. They'll come pre-cut underneath, and you season those. You take it out and you put it on a good cutting board, and you can just cut them with a knife down. Take them and lay them on a plate. You can put whatever you would like for a sauce or a seasoning over the top and serve them. And that crown rack, it just has so much juice in it. A lot of people here had crown rack before, like we've got up here, we've showed on the picture today. I mean, they're just awesome. The juice that's in a crown rack is phenomenal. Buy one, try it. A crown rack is $4 a pound today. And you go buy a beef ribeye, and it's $10 to $12 a pound. The crown rack will have more juice to it, will be as tasty as any ribeye that you can eat. In fact, I mean, it's that great. Serve the crown rack to your family sometime. It's sausage, same way you can cut it and slice it, and you can baste it with different things. I cooked sausage in a lot of contests. One time I took cherry and preserves and mixed it with some strawberry and put some apple juice with it and some brown sugar and some butter, and I cooked it on the cooker. I painted the sausage and I got first place. Unbelievable. And next year I come back and I done it and I think I placed last place. But a lot of different things like that. Rhubarb preserves is awesome to use to cut down and blend with things and to baste sausage or pork loin. It's unbelievable. So a lot of things you can do, whatever meets your taste or what you like. If you've been barbecuing or cooking, there's something that you like to use to serve over meat. Whip it up, use that and try it. But always re-season your meat. When you cut that meat, you slice it, you get ready to serve it, re-season it. You can find our seasonings, our spices, our barbecue sauce all online with Lynch Barbecue. You can try all of that. Go to www.lynchbarbecue.com, and we have a website there. It has all the seasonings, the barbecue sauce, everything on it, and you can order that online. You can also order barbecued ribs. You can order pork loin, about anything, smoked sausage, anything you want, bacon, whatever you want. We have that online, and you can order that or get that. So I'm going to find out how many people paid attention here today. And first of all, everybody raise their hands if they got a smoker at home or some type of smoker or cooker. Yeah, most people do, you know. Even a barbecue grill. If you don't have a smoker, you can't afford one, a barbecue grill works great. Learn how to use it. Put a pan underneath so that you don't flame up. Get your fire set low. You girls set it low and put the meat on and cook it low, season it, and that'll work. That works too. You just don't get the flavor that you would from wood and all the seasoning you put on and smoke. And one thing that I really didn't touch on was, pork loin. You get that smoke ring in it. I like to see about a half-inch smoke ring come down. I think that really gives a lot to taste on it. You can tell that the meat was smoked and it's really good. So this here will show. This is kind of what you call a smoke ring here. Comes down 1/4 of an inch, half an inch. I think that if you get it smoke ring too much deeper than that, it goes back to what I said. The meat can become dry. It becomes kind of, you get that wood taste or that charcoal taste to it, and it's not as good. So.